r/AskReddit by Teen Reddit. What alternatives people think are cheaper but actually cost them more? For me, liquid dish soap. I bought some cheap stuff for half price but then have to add more to my sponge like 3 times to get through washing a load of dishes by hand. The expensive stuff usually lasts without adding more. Okay, I've been tattooing professionally for about a decade and I don't know how many people come into the shop wanting a pretty basic design and we say something like, it's gonna be about $80, and they think it's way too much and they say they know this other dude that does it at home for half the cost. So they go there and does it for, let's say, $40. Not surprisingly it turns out shit and then they come back to us and want us to fix it. But now it's way more work for us to do, fixing all those sloppy lines and shit. So now the price is $120. So what would have cost them $80 ends up costing them $160. Driving home after a couple drinks instead of taking a taxi or a share. I think, in total, my sister's DUI cost her $12,000 plus. I saw a cheapskate show once where a woman was having her family use old washcloths instead of toilet paper. For everything they'd toss the used washcloths into a basket and she would wash them up and put them out again to be reused. She said she was saving a ton of money on toilet paper because using cloth is free, assuming she's washing these things in hot water with soap and, please dear God, bleach and then drying them in the dryer. I can't imagine that this anything close to free, and it seems like it would cost more than toilet paper, even if only in terms of their dignity when they've got house guests. Mom, can you pass me the poop cloth, please? They did interview one of the kids and she said, I don't like it when I get the ones with brown on them. People have become used to the idea that a bigger package of something will cost less per unit. I've discovered that about half the time that's not true at my local Walmart. Quite often, the bigger package of the same item has a higher unit cost, and people still buy it instead of just getting 2 smaller ones. Prepay electricity. I don't know if it's a thing in America but it's pretty much an electricity plan where instead of getting a bill at the end of every month you have a meter in your house that monitors your electricity usage and you have to top up either with a card or online before you can actually use the electricity. It's targeted mostly towards low-income houses that might struggle to pay a bill at the end of the month. The kicker? It's far more expensive to prepay for electricity than it is to just pay the bill at the end of the month. The only real benefit is you can't accidentally use lots of electricity because they turn it off when you run out of units. Sex toys. Don't buy cheap stuff. I bought a small vibrator from a crappy sex shop for my ex and it broke down in 2-3 months. For the next one we decided to look online and we got a quite expensive one with a 1-year guarantee. It lasted 2 years at the very least. Maybe it's still going strong, but I wouldn't know. Cars. Especially if you're looking for a first car or a beater. Spending an extra grand or 2 on a better car makes a huge difference, and you don't want to be looking at a transmission failure 6 months after buying it. Driving miles out of the way to get cheaper gas. You spend that money you would have saved on gas to get there. The dollar store in general. They typically just sell smaller sizes of things so you think you are getting a deal. Certain things can be a deal there, like gift wrap, but a lot of it isn't any cheaper. DIY projects and handmade things. Making something from scratch can be cheaper, but a lot of the time you're spending enough money on materials that you might as well have bought the finished product, not to mention the opportunity cost of the time you spend making the thing. Parents buying their kids rose art instead of Crayola. Not only do they color badly, but they break more easily and you'll end up buying more of them. Plus the cost of therapy down the road. Story time. So I have a chronic case of incredibly sweaty armpits. They just get sweaty and stinky and for the longest time it really hurt my self-esteem. Well, I was cycling through deodorants and found this one I really liked. It smelled so good it was almost intoxicating. The kicker was that it was the best deodorant I used in my whole life and it was the cheapest extra strength one I found. Fast forward to like 3 weeks later. My whole life has changed. I am more confident in my amazing smelling self than ever. Well, I've been smelling this deodorant for weeks and it still smells amazing. One day I wanted to get a better smell so I bring it up to my nose and smell it real deeply. I got a bit too into it and a bit got on my lip. I reflexively licked my lip and my god, this even tasted amazing. Despite my better judgment, I took a bite of this deodorant. It was incredibly good tasting but had the most vile texture I've ever experienced. It was like super chalky and chunky. I swore to not eat it again. Later that afternoon, my lower stomach started intensely hurting to the point of needing to go to the ER because of the pain. It turns out that the deodorant had formed an intestinal blockage and I had to get it surgically removed. That was the most expensive cost savings of my life. Buying those drink packages on cruise ships are only worth it if you are an alcoholic. Buying used furniture mattresses. Maybe it's fine, but you just can't be sure. It may be full of cockroaches, termites, or bed bugs, which will cost you a whole lot more in the end with pest control and throwing everything else away that the pests destroyed. Fountain soft drinks cost pennies to the gallon to make but often sell for a few dollars a drink at restaurants. That's why fast food places push combos so much. Often their margins on the food are very small and they make their money on drinks. Buying fast food. It's cheap and easy for one-time dinner or lunch, sure, but if that's the only way you eat, it's going to burn up your wallet fast. Buying cheap shoes. A good, quality pair of shoes or boots that you pay a decent amount of money for will last for years, while the cheap stuff might wear out in a month or two. This obviously doesn't count running shoes or other footwear that is expected to take exceptional wear and tear, but I do know that my old marine boots I paid $120 for lasted me about 8 years of regular military and then civilian use before I had to toss them out. Thanks for watching this r/AskReddit by Teen Reddit. Like, comment, and subscribe, and tune back in soon for another video.